Hi, my name's Eddie and we're here at Web Engineering 2019 in the lovely Palma, Mallorca, Spain. We've met so many amazing people. The Dashboard Hub team have really been speaking to everyone and has really got stuck in and helped out, and people have already asked if they're going to come next year, so it's been great. An unconference is where there's no planned talks. People turn up on the day and propose talks they would like to give. So it was really interesting. It was so good and so many great talks, and we videoed them. Subscribe to my channel below so when the videos do come out from the talks, you get notified of those videos. It wasn't just about coding, it was also about soft skills, a whole variety. Body language, how to present at a talk, how to present at a meeting, how you can change your coding to reduce the impact on climate change. So tech is for everyone, tech is for you. Hi, my name's Eddie and we're here at Web Engineering 2019 and I've just met Lars, actually on Friday and today's Sunday, and what a great guy. Everyone speaks so highly of him. But also, I have only recently, a few minutes ago, just learned that Lars started the conference?
Yeah, not me, but I was one of the people who started it, yes.
That's awesome. How many years ago was that?
I founded a company called WEucEU in Germany, which is like a flight search engine. And we founded 2007. And I think 2009 we did a company trip. And I decided we all have to go to Mallorca. And so I found a hotel here, Catalonia, Majorca. And we did our company trip there. And that was so nice. And that's also one of the reasons why Turago is over there, because we were connected and we know the people. They were very small, we were very small. Now they're super big and we're still small, but okay. And we had such a great time that there the idea existed. And then you did and some other people came up with the idea of doing the unconference. At this time it was around PHP. So it wasn't web, it was like PHP.
I remember coming, it was PHP Unconference.
Yes,
I remember coming to quite a few of those.
Yeah, right. And we did plenty of, and like 6 years ago or 5 years ago, I moved to Asia. I didn't join anymore, that's why we never met.
Yeah, I think I started coming 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah,
so
yeah. And I heard so many good things about you.
Oh, tell me more, tell me more. I want to hear those good things.
Everybody said like you're so amazing, the best man, and,
thank you.
And so good interviews and everything. It's really good.
Thank you, I'll pay you later. You know,
yeah, no worries, yeah. I expect that.
It's so great to be here. I look forward to this every year. I think I'm one of the first person to buy the ticket. I'm really keen to go. As soon as they release the dates, I'll buy the ticket. I'm so keen. And this year I brought Chenga and Lucy with me. And next year I want to even bring the more of the teams we've got. I'd love to bring them along as well because it's such an amazing conference. And it's not just about code and tech. There are other discussions happening. You did an amazing workshop on Friday.
Yeah.
And we didn't record it because it was a safe space for people to be open, and I really appreciate that. But could you give us a bit of information about what the workshop was about and why that workshop?
The idea came up like a couple of years ago. There's a small conference in Munich called the Horn, and I did a talk there where I just wanted to share my learnings of my career. So what I did is I just went on a stage, opened a beer, sitting on the stage and start talking about my life. And that actually was an experiment, but people really liked it because my life is quite a lot of up and downs, and I made a really good career. So people want to know, okay, Lars, how can I be like you and earn a lot of money or whatever? Can you give me some tips and stuff like that? So
be happy like you and be good looking like you. That's probably.
Oh, thank you. So you want the money back now? And then last year, we restarted the Horn conference in Munich, and which is a tech conference, but I didn't want to do a tech conference because I realized we have so many tech conferences, but actually the truth is that so many people need or are interested in involvement in other areas like more personal, social, presentation skills, whatever. Yeah. So what we did is it was a super experiment. We did like 60% of the topics were around personal development. Only 40% were tech. And it was a super big success because there is clearly a trend going. And here in the web conference in Mallorca, interestingly, the same happened. So many topics are not pure tech, but it's more about like how I can plan my career better, or how can I do an amazing talk on stage. And as of my workshop, that was more like sharing to realize that we all have our own struggles which we need to overcome, and that we are not alone. So I shared from my life some intimate, also quite tough situations in my life and how I overcome them. And Thomas Lohner did the same. And then other people also opened up, and it was quite amazing, actually. Really good feeling. I've met on the Bits and Pretzels last year. I had the pleasure to be in the first row when the woman who founded the Me Too movement. I wasn't really interested in that because I thought, it's a bit of witch hunt or whatever, but actually it's not. And she shared about what happened, and what she did is actually she used to be a street worker working with black young girls who have been abused. And the problem is that nobody talk about that. Yeah. So what she did is she shared what happened in her life. So talk about yourself. And then suddenly other people think like, oh my God, happened to her, happened to me also. I share it also. So that's how it grows. And I think a little bit of that spirit, I'm not saying we did Me Too there, but little bit, tiny little bit, we could have a small spark of that people see like, oh my God, I'm not alone. The problems I have, the worries I have, the question I have about my career, my life, am I good enough?
You're completely right, because it made me think of, so I started my YouTube channel just over a year ago, and I get so many comments, but I get a lot of private comments saying, Eddie, I need to ask you something private, it's something about me, it's private. And 99% of the time, it's the same question I've had every time.
Yeah.
It's not private. I say to them, it's not private to you, you should put it in a comment, because other people will have that same question or the same struggle, and they're quite nervous about it. And I'm like, but it's not, there's no real personal detail in there. It's they think the atmosphere, the environment was personal to them.
And because that's also the biggest challenge we have. So I've started my company now 4.5 years ago in Vietnam. The Vietnamese or the Asian culture, they don't open up so easily. Yeah. So they're really, really good engineers. They like to sit there and do what they're being told to. But that's not enough nowadays. You need to bring in your heart, you need to bring in your souls, you need to understand, have good ideas and say like, hey, why we don't do it like this and this and this, yeah? And that's not so easy. So we put a lot of energy into, like, I would say 80% into social development, like people understand, and only 20% because people will hate me for that, but coding is actually easy. You just read a book. If you're not dumb, you can do that. Yeah, I'm serious. I mean, come on.
I struggle to code.
Yeah. You struggle to code?
Yeah.
Come on, it's easy. But the difficult part is what you're doing right now. Yeah, I mean, you're standing in front of the camera, you're giving interviews, you're building yourself a brand, you go out there, put yourself out in the open. That is what people really struggle. So that is what you mastered already. So you did the difficult part first. Now the easy part is coming. Come on.
Everyone, I think different things are challenging for different people. So to give another example, so my team for Dashboard Hub are amazing. I've specifically chosen them, not because they're like me, because they're different to me. So everyone has, I think, their challenges, and that's why I think having a team of people around you that complement each other, so they have different skills to you. And going back to what you were saying about how the mentality in the workforce is in Asia, I think it's in other countries as well, maybe more predominant in those areas, but I've seen it when expanding the Dashboard Hub team with the remote working of other people, I've seen it. But the people that I've got working on my team now, and they're probably watching this video, I kept them on and I love them because they're so honest and they're creative. So I might start the conversation, Coda in India or Alona in Ukraine, I might say, look, I want something done like this, but then they're going to come back with me and say, you started the conversation, I actually think it's better, because it's their area of expertise. I think it's better if you do this and this and this. It's like, brilliant. So it's just kind of starting that conversation, and I love that feedback that I get, because it's really important. I don't have all the answers. I think I just have that starting point of kind of the approximate direction. Also, I wanted to cover your business. Can you tell us more about that? So you said you've been successful, hearing your story. Can you just give kind of a brief overview of how you got to where you are now? And I know that your priorities of what's important to you has changed as well, which is really interesting.
That's true. Yeah. So I started as a software developer like everybody else. I'm old, so in my case it was C++. There was even no Java or PHP around back in the days. I made my career through different companies, and then I realized I don't like to have a boss. It's like me and two other coders friends. We said like we can do it ourselves, so we start our own company. So what could possibly go wrong? And what we did is we were a service provider, sort of outsourcing for really, really complicated stuff. During the .com bubble, we did all the hot shit. It was amazing. And then the bubble burst, and my clients didn't pay their bills, and we went bankrupt. So because we didn't understand that we need to save money and how to work properly or calculate our prices, and no idea about that. Yeah. From there, I mean, I omit a couple of other failures, small failures, there were plenty of. So I co-founded WEucEU, which is one of the major shopping cart solutions in Germany. We did really, really well. Then Shopware came around, Magento came around, the guys copy-pasted a lot from us. Roy Rubin admitted us once. He told me, he said because we released something new, and 4 months later Magento also have it, and we're like, these fuckers, yeah. But they did a much better job marketing-wise, targeting Americans. So WEucEU stayed focused on the German markets, small, and so we did grow the company. And once the company is there, it's settled, it's boring. Then I realized I love traveling, and you couldn't find the cheap flights. So I wrote myself a crawler for the Ryanair webpage that I can find the 1 cent flight at this time going to London. So we found Swoodoo, which is a copycat of kayak.com, which is the biggest flight search engine, and we wrote in our business plan our exit should be to kayak. So, and 3 years later, only after 3 years, we exited to kayak, we sold to kayak. And the Americans, they were like, oh, this last dude, he seems smart, he seems to understand something of quality, so they actually made me into a VP engineering for the whole US team, and I got a fancy title. It was Director Quality Engineering. I spent a lot of time in the US, so working with these MIT and Harvard grads to try to make them understand that software quality is important, because that's typically something where American companies are not so much focused on. Yeah, it did hurt them. They every 2 weeks they released, and every 2 weeks they went offline for a couple of hours. And back in the days, that was like 2010 or something, 2011. Still, they had over $500,000 US Google AdSense spending a day. Wow. Imagine being offline for 6 hours. Yeah. Not counting the revenue you don't get, but just that. It's just it's a lot of money. Yeah? So that worked very well, and I could have made career in the US, but I realized it's not where my heart is. The American culture, talking about cultural difference, and the German, especially my personal culture, is quite different, and I couldn't picture myself to live in the US. Still, sometimes I thought, shit, I would have loved to get the money. But the thing is, talking about that, the only resource we have in life which matters is time.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, I focus on NFQ, and NFQ is the company which was with me over the last 20 years. I told you, .com bubble, no developers available. I had in 2000 a 21-year-old guy sitting there applying for a job, and asked how much you want. And he said well, right now I earn 17,000. I would like to have 21,000. I said, a year? No, a month. I said, holy shit, well, you better stay where you are. It was completely insane. So what I did is I knew someone who knew someone from Lithuania, so I did build my own offshore team in Lithuania. And that has been so successful. We did build WEucEU there, Swoodoo there. Over all these years, friends came to me and said, hey, Lars, don't you have also engineers for me? So I said, yeah, go there. Although I was a co-founder, I never was really interested in the company, because I was more on the client side. I only wanted to have good engineers. So 20 years later, fast forward, we had 180 people back in the days in Lithuania, and I was like, maybe it's time to jump into that company the first time. I went on a payroll, cleaned up a little bit, and I realized it's difficult to grow in Lithuania because it's a very small country. They have very strong ties to the US and the UK. Salaries are super high, actually even a little bit higher than Germany nowadays.
Wow.
Which is difficult when you do outsourcing, and the people are more expensive than the locals. It's a tough sale.
Yeah.
You still can say, but I have the engineers and you don't, but still people want to get it a little bit cheaper. So it was pretty quickly clear we need to have a new office. And my co-founders wanted to talk me into Ukraine or Belarus or other, and I said man, 15 years of an Eastern European country, I love these places, but it's enough. I need a little bit more sun. And a friend of mine used to work for Microsoft, and he said, Lars, come on over. And I went the first time to Asia not as a tourist. I went to the Tech in Asia conference, the Echelon, which are the two big conferences. I also have been speaking on stage there. It's amazing. And I was like, wow, I was blown away. The energy of the people, you can't even compare it to here. And I thought, this is the future. Not only by finding software developers, but also for a target market. Yeah, because clearly the growth is amazing what's going on there. So 4.5 years, I went to Thailand. I tried to find the software developers there. I failed because of various reasons. The availability of engineers is not really good there. So by accident, I ended up in Vietnam, and then it grew in 4 years from 0 to 200 nowadays in Vietnam. Yeah, and that's going very well.
And is that focusing on your product, or are you a consultancy doing other people's work?
No. What we do is we build dedicated teams. So let's say someone like you would say like, I need like 5 or 10 engineers now. You can work with 5 freelancers, but then you need to integrate them, or you can get a full team from me. And the interesting thing is you can acquire them later. And especially like 95% of my clients are VC funded, and all these, they need that, because once you do an equity round, once you will do VC, the VC will tell you, okay, Eddie, nice company, yeah, but these people, these freelancers there, that's your IP. You just told me they're super important. They need to be on your payroll. And then maybe they will join you, maybe not, you never know. So, whereas in my case, we said, okay, I have a contract here, I just need to pay that amount of money and I can have them. And then the VC will say, okay, let's rather invest the money in your product now, but later, if we need it, we can do it. So, and that works very well.
That sounds really, really interesting.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Interesting. You have to share your details, because I might know some clients for me in the UK who might be interested in that as well.
I would love to.
Because again, you're de-risking and then de-risking again, because they don't want the team right at the beginning, because it's maybe a prototype. But then if it does become a bit successful and they get next round of funding,
exactly.
Might go, you know what, to de-risk again, we actually need to do the opposite of what we've just done. You need to make sure they're on the payroll. So so that sounds awesome. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. You need to visit us.
Also, you've got a couple of events. You mentioned, are these private events, or can you mention on video?
Oh no, I can mention it. It's private, but still. I mean, we run a summit once a year. It's like invite only. 120 handpicked people, where we say like they mostly are like successful CEOs, founders of mainly like German companies. With this, like, I'm German, so that's where the network is from. But not only, but also other people who are really, really just amazing people. Where it's like, oh wow, that guy is so amazing, like you. So we need to have you over and join, because and what happened is it's 5 days. We like sort of showcase like once in a lifetime experiences of Vietnam. So you're going to see Vietnam on a complete non-tourist way, what you never would experiences you would never have otherwise. And then 5 days together with really, really like-minded, cool individuals, and for sure there's a lot of booze and partying. You can expect that. So people have the chance to really, really deep network. And last year what happened is there's so much business or even startup ideas. I just heard from a guy that they might found their company now together.
Wow, that's awesome.
Because they met there. And that is really, because normally in a conference like here, you have just a little bit of time. We go in the bar like yesterday, you can talk a little bit, but that's it. And then you will meet again for breakfast, and you meet again, you can go deeper. That's really good. And we will end it with a massive party and a really good conference. We have a business conference and a tech conference, 2 full day conferences running at the same time, so people can decide where they want to go. At the beach, in the sand, right in the sun in the beach, and it's super good. And we have really, really good speakers.
That's awesome.
And some of the people here, which you interviewed, will be there.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Anything else you'd like to add?
No. The only thing is like what I don't like is, and I'm super happy that you are here, is that it's quite, that conference, there's so many Germans here.
Okay.
And I think we should have more folks from other countries. I mean, everything is anyway in English. I mean, and I understand because the organizers come from Germany, so most people is out of the network. But I would love to see a lot more Spanish people here, British folks, whatever, because like the problems and the skills, the sharings, the learnings are the same everywhere.
Absolutely.
So
that'll be our goal for next year to try and do that. Awesome, we've got the proof.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
That was really